You know how every year we hear the same claim, this is the fastest phone ever? Well, today we're putting three giants to the test. And let me tell you, the results are nothing like what the ads want you to believe. The OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro, and the Vivo X300 Pro all say they're the kings of performance. But when you actually run real-life tests, one phone overheats, one surprises everyone, and one quietly becomes the smoothest of them all. So let's break down what really happens when marketing meets reality. So let's start by talking about why this comparison even matters. On paper, all three of these phones look insanely powerful. You've got the OnePlus 15 running the new Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, the iPhone 17 Pro with Apple's A19 Pro chip, and the Vivo X300 Pro powered by MediaTek's Dimensity 9500. Just the names alone sound like you're holding tiny supercomputers in your hands. But specs never tell the full picture. Real performance is about what actually happens when you open apps, edit videos, game for long sessions, or push the phone until it heats up. And that's exactly where the story of these three phones starts to separate. The OnePlus 15 is honestly the device that feels the most complete. You get that huge 7300 mAh silicon nanostack battery, super fast 100W charging, a crazy smooth 165Hz display, and OxygenOS 16, with some pretty polished AI features. But the most impressive part isn't the features, it's how consistent the phone feels. Whether you're extracting big files, exporting long videos, or running those heavy graphics tests, the OnePlus just stays calm. The temperature stays controlled, the performance doesn't dip suddenly, and the phone just feels balanced. That's actually rare these days. A phone that's powerful without constantly heating up. Then there's the iPhone 17 Pro. Apple didn't go for the biggest numbers, but the A19 Pro chip still hits the highest single-core scores in benchmarks. And you can feel that in everyday use. Opening apps, switching between heavy tasks, using the camera, it all feels sharp and precise. What really stands out though, is how cool the iPhone stays. Even during long video editing sessions, it doesn't spike like the other two. Apple is clearly focusing on stability and quality, instead of pure speed. But yes, because of Apple's heavier compression, it does take longer to export videos. So you get better video quality, but you wait a few extra seconds. In real life though, the iPhone feels like that friend who never loses their cool, steady, reliable, predictable. Now the biggest twist in this comparison is the Vivo X300 Pro. MediaTek has always been seen as the underdog, but the Dimensity 9500 changes that completely. In some tests, this phone was not only fast, it was the fastest. Video exporting was quicker than both OnePlus and iPhone. And in the 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme test, the Vivo actually achieved the best loop score, meaning its peak performance was the highest. And it does all this while still staying fairly cool, thanks to Vivo's aggressive cooling system and lighter compression. But here's the thing, the Vivo is explosive, not consistent. It gives you big bursts of performance, but over long sessions, the stability dips earlier than the iPhone, and even slightly earlier than the OnePlus. So it's amazing for quick tasks and short exports, but not the most stable for extended heavy workloads. And when you compare these three side by side, you realize how differently they approach performance. OnePlus is all about smoothness. Everything just feels fluid, polished, and effortless. The iPhone is about control. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing gets too hot. Everything stays balanced. The Vivo is the speed demon. When it pushes hard, and that leads to some shocking results. But which one actually wins? Well, it depends on what kind of user you are. If you want the most enjoyable everyday experience, something that feels fast, smooth, and comfortable in the hand, no matter what you do, the OnePlus 15 is honestly the standout. If you want long-term stability, the coolest temperatures, and the most consistent performance, the iPhone 17 Pro is still the safe bet. And if you want the fastest burst performance, especially for creators or anyone who does a lot of exporting, the Vivo X300 Pro is surprisingly the strongest in short tests. So the truth is, there's no single winner, but there is a clear lesson. Numbers don't tell the whole story. Marketing doesn't tell the whole story. Only real use does. And once you actually test these phones in real-world conditions, you realize each one has its own personality, strengths, and weaknesses. And that's what makes this comparison so interesting. There's a phone here for every kind of user, depending on what matters most to you.